Alright, I am back with part 4. Sorry about that, I needed a break. I was dying from a lack of sugar, apparently. It was not good. But I have not died, so my life continues on. Just like that one lady from that Titanic movie or something. Anyway, I'm on my way to the tournament. I'm still trapped in this town. It's very, very, very long. Alright. Oh hey, those guys in the front are in the way. That gets me so pissed. This guy says, participant, go on through. I don't know. Maybe I talk to this guy. Only participants are allowed. Your friend will sit in the spectators area. Sighton says, well then, I'll be over here cheering for you. Do not beat him too soon. The better you do, the easier it will be for Bart to sneak in. Alrighty. I am strong, I am strong, I am strong. Do you know my name? Yep. That's right, I'm the one and only Big Joe. Do you think women are weaker than men? Nope. I'm not saying that. I have a roommate in the Air Force who practices taijutsu, and she could probably break me in half. So yeah. Aren't you nervous? I've had to pee a couple times already. I have to go again. Yeah, that'll happen. Alright. I'm supposed to speak with a certain person. No entry into La Castle. That guy doesn't want to talk to me. The human body is weak. I always fight against rock and metal. There is no way I can lose. Everyone is so excited. Isn't there a big festival or something? Isn't there? Holy fuckballs. It's Dan. What are you doing here? It's your fault that Alice. I'll never forgive you. I'm gonna kill you. Dan. Attention, all participants. We'll be starting soon. Please enter the arena. Dan says, you're the enemy of everyone in Lahan. I'm gonna kick your butt in front of everyone and don't be running away either. Faye says, Dan. Mystery Man says, hey, mister, are you from Lahan? Seems like you and that boy have some kind of problem. Who do you think you are? Mind your own business, says Faye. The Mystery Man simply laughs at him. Faye wonders what's so funny. The Mystery Man says nothing, just wondering what kind of fight you will have with that boy. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Faye. Faye says, huh? How does that guy know my name? I didn't enter my real name. Well, maybe that little boy said the name. I wasn't paying tons of attention, honestly. Well, this splits into two parts where Faye's doing the tournament and where Bart is gonna jump down a hole and, like, do some stuff, I guess. Bart says, it's about to start, I guess I better go get ready too. Is this plan really gonna work, wonders the nun. Bart says, it's already started, if something's wrong now, it's tough. What are you worried about? Faye'll do okay, besides Sighton's with him too. Now all I gotta do is sneak into the castle through the well. No problem. The nun prays on it. Bart says, well, I'm going. Margie's waiting in the citadel. The nun says, be careful, and thank you for helping her. Her is Mother Marguerite, by the way. Bart says, no sweat, you'd better get out of Ava now, too. Things are going to get out of hand soon. The nun says, thank you. Bart apparently runs through this door, walking down the stairs, going over Meower. Oh, he just jumps off the balcony like a badass. Oh, yeah! Well, 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 mother trucker. I guess I'm going to go in the thingy. Hiya! He just jumps in the hole. Brave young men are spilling their blood on the front lines. Our army is the best, but the tides of war are uncertain. To protect the tradition of Ava and preserve peace in this desert, we must all have unshaking resolve. The desert is a precious treasure passed on from our ancestors. Holy shit, that guy's talking too fast. We are gathered here today with our strong bodies forged by the desert. The sun above us is the same. Blah, 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 blah. Holy shit, I can't talk that fast. This tournament raises our spirits and renews our blessings from this desert we live in. Brave ones, warriors, fight well and do not shame our brothers at the front. Let the 338th tournament begin! They bang a gong. Everybody screams! Everybody scream in this town of Halloween! Shakan thinks his speech was awesome. There's no way I could have spoken that fast. Shakan says, "Oh, Commander Ramses, sorry to have kept you waiting. Come sit over here on my lap, and I will give you a daddy massage." He didn't really say that, but, you know. Ramses says, "I'm afraid I do not have time for such gay revelry." Wow, I could not have planned that word better myself. I just dropped by to bid you farewell. Shakan says, "What a pity. You do not like our entertainment?" Ramses says he finds it boring. Miang says, "Oh, let it be, Commander. Shakan is only trying to show hospitality. I personally find martial arts quite interesting. I look forward to seeing the tournament." Shakan says, "To say this event is a tribute to you, Commander, is no understatement. Your gracious help in our time of need enabled us to celebrate the country's founding today." Ramses says, "Founding? How impudent. It's not even your country. Do as you like." What a jerk. Shakan says, "Miang, how about the tournament? Will you grace us with your company?" Miang says, "Yes, it would be a pleasure." Shakan says, "Oh, it's starting." Oh yeah, that guy banged a gong. The first match is Gonzalez versus Wandering Boxer. Okay. Miang says, "My, what a handsome boy." Apparently she's a pedophile. I don't really know how old Faye is. Actually, we can find out right here. Hold on, let's find out really quick. I think it's in this thingy. Faye is 18. I think he's legal. It says so right here. Anywho, let's kill this motherfucker. Yeah. Gonzalez can't take it anymore. He's upsetty. That doesn't seem good for my health. Well, Fatty McFat is dead. And I got a tent. Because I'm awesome. Alrighty. Apparently Bart needs to like floop on over here. Oh, it's Joe time apparently. Oh yeah. Big Joe is apparently a weak-ass bitch. So, hoo-yah! Well, that's rude. Oh, how rude. Joe thinks he's great and dynamic. Wow, that's a fancy way to die. Actually, I don't think he dies, but whatever. He must be a good swimmer. I certainly cannot swim that well. Well, that was pointless. Let's go this way. I'm punching some girl with a purse in the face. That doesn't feel very good. Oh, apparently he's gonna drug me. That's not very nice. What a piece of shit. That bitch is dead. Oh, jeez. I think the right way is the left way, so let's go this way first. Wow, really? Maybe I just can't go this way. Why do I keep getting stuck there? Alright, whatever. Faye says, "What are you doing here, Dan?" Dan says, I escaped from Yui's place. I'm here to avenge my sister's death." Faye says, "Please, Dan, stop it." Dan says, "Shut your mouth. I'll never forgive you, you murderer." Faye says, "Ugh, what do you want me to do?" Guess I'm gonna beat a child. Dan says he's gonna take me down. Oh, wait. I was supposed to not hit him, I think. Oh, yeah. I already talked to that part. Dan says, "You scum!" and unleashes a nuclear bomb on my face. How rude. Dan says, damn you, Faye, why don't you fight back? Come on, I challenged you. Faye says, I can't. There's no way I could ever bring myself to strike you, Dan. Dan says, darn, taking you down so easily like this isn't going to satisfy the souls of my sister or Timothy. Blast, I'll have to save this duel for later. The next time I meet you, it's going to be your funeral, scum. Until then, hang on to this. Every time you look at it, I want you to suffer and feel the guilt for what you did. Took possession of Alice's wedding dress. Dang, says Faye. Dan says, shut up, I don't want to hear your stupid excuses. Faye, you're such a bastard. I guess Faye wins somehow. I've never seen that happen before. I've beat this game like probably 10 times. I did not know you could do that. That's pretty cool. Interesting. Alright, apparently it's time to fight. Whoops. Pushing the wrong buttons and shit. Okay, we can go that way. Apparently I can't hit this dude. Wiseman says, what a wimp. Apparently I can hit him with that. He says, what a wimp again. I guess I can raise my attack. What a wimp. All the spectators are going, boo, fight properly. Faye says, this isn't good at this rate. Wiseman says, just as I thought. Faye seems confused. Wiseman says, where did you learn that technique? Faye says, who cares where? Now put up a serious fight. Wiseman says, so then why do you fight? For yourself or the sake of others? Faye says, why do you ask that for? Wiseman says, doesn't there have to be a reason or a goal for a person to fight? Faye says, my reasons for fighting are none of your business. Wiseman says, so you are fighting for no reason or goal? Faye says, would you shut up? I'm in the middle of finding my purpose. Wiseman says, forget it, there's no way you could find such a thing. Faye says, what? Wiseman says, you appear to be looking forward, but in reality you are only looking downward. You're only looking at yourself. Like that, you will find nothing. Faye says, how would you know? Wiseman says, I know. By exchanging blows with you, I can tell a great deal. Faye says, shut up. Wiseman says, weak. You won't even graze me with those kinds of attacks. But superficially, at least, it seems you've matured physically. Faye is confused some more. Wiseman says, you've done well in recovering from those wounds, Faye. Faye wonders how he knows his name. I deliberately didn't use my real name when I entered this contest, he says. And that thing about me recovering from my wounds, you aren't who I think you are. Wiseman says, Faye is confused. Wiseman says, oh my, is it that time already? I guess it can't be helped. I've got to be on my way. And he flees the scene. Faye says, wait, I want to ask you. The spectators grumble. The referee says, it appears Wiseman has forfeited. The remaining competitor will automatically be awarded victory. The spectators boo. Someone says, yeah, I won the bet. Faye says, Wiseman, ... I'm not trying to go the right way, though. I'm looking for an item. Okay, so I'm at the east gate, apparently. Wow. My goodness. There we go. That's what I wanted. Huh. That's funny. That's the west gate. Goodness. I think I got whatever was over here. It's gotta be the floodgate. Alright. Whoa, holy shit. What? Playing in the reservoir again? Get up out of there now, boy. Kid, how many times must I tell you? How many years has it been? Well, haven't you grown up? Are you really the child I used to play hide and seek with? Is this some sort of joke? Well, answer me. Bart says, what are you babbling on about? Old man, even back when I was a child, you used to ramble on and on, but I can see it's gotten worse. What? Ramble? Did you say I rambled on? Why, you little brat. The only people who I ever allowed to call me a rambler were my late mother and the young prince, His Highness. What was his name? You mean His Highness Prince Bartholomew? Yes, His Highness Prince Bartholomew. Boy, you certainly know a lot. If Bartholomew was still alive, he'd be just about your age. Did you know that he and his family were killed by that Shakan? You won't beat me, Shakan. I'll protect Ava's water till I die, in remembrance of the kindness of the king and the young prince. Bart says, really? Thanks, old man. Father would be glad. What do you mean, father? Are you the son of an acquaintance of mine? Wait, I remember. No, that's not it. I don't recall the king having any secret sons. Bart says, sorry, but I don't have time to explain. You'll remember. See ya. The old man says, who was that? My. Anything over Meower? No free shit at all. How dare you? Bart's apparently just gonna wander around and beat everybody ass. Man, really hard to see in this place. That is locked apparently. Okay, that's also locked. Alright. This is not locked. Is there any point in talking to these guys? We're not interested in gambling. There's probably a guard outside. Who cares? I'm not concerned. Alright. Oh, okay. I swear there should be some items in here. Some iron somethings, apparently. Maybe it's upstairs? I don't know. Goodness, I can't see shit. Okay. Apparently that's open. That's nice, I guess. Cobra Cracker. Which is weaker than my current equipment. Can't see. whatever. I'm in the castle. How fancy. Says something about how he doesn't like noisy places. What tournament are you now? Oh my god. Really? Whatever, I need money, I guess. Anything interesting in here? I see nothing. Have to go this way then. This lady says, "Oh my, Major Vandercom, bringing this thing into the room. It's gonna be difficult to clean with this here." Okay. Oh, shit. Okay, I guess I fucked those bitches up. Probably just back out there. Ooh, fancy room. I just keep going up steps. What a pretty room. No treasures. What the flock? Where do I go then? That'd be funny if I just jumped off this thing. Whee! I don't think I went in here. That's an elevator, apparently. Margie says, Bart! Bart says, let's go home, Margie. Margie says, I just knew you'd come for me. Bart says, I'm getting you out of here. Come on, follow me. Margie says, okay. Margie says, oh, wait a second. Margie says, I really like this. Okay. Where do I go now? Ah, okay. Margie says, Bart, look. Bart says, crap, Gebler. Ramses says, looks like we have rats. Where do you plan on taking that girl, boy? Bart says, boy? Ha! Boy! Let's see you try and call me that again. Who the hell are you anyway? Ramses says, you do have spunk, but I don't need to give my name to rats like you. Bart says, what? Ramses says, now hand over the girl. She is a very important guest. Until she tells us where a certain piece of the Fatima Jasper is, we cannot allow her to be taken away. Bart says, give me a break. You think I'm gonna hand her over just because you say to? Pull your head out, you Gebler geek. Ramses says, I assume you know where such abusive language will lead you. I guess it's fighting time. Miang says, if you truly want to protect that child, then surrender, Prince Bartholomew. Bart says, oh yeah, you know about me, huh? It's not such a bad feeling having your name known by someone as beautiful as you. Margie says, Barty! Miang says, you may have had your problems with Shakan, but we won't treat you badly. Concerning Shakan, it really doesn't matter either way to us. Bart says, that's nice to know, but I can't accept it. See, for me, either way is bad. Ramses says, then it's decided. Bart says, Margie, hide back there. Margie says, I'll fight too. Bart says, I don't care, just hide. Okie dokie. Oof. Margie says, good luck, Bart, and heals me. Faye says, Bart! Wow. Faye says, you okay, Bart? Bart says, glad you're here, Faye. Ramses says, Faye? What's wrong, Bart says, Faye? I thought this was a simple rescue. Bart says, shut up, this jerk butted in and slowed me down. Ramses says, the way he attacked, it reminds me of someone from my past. the infamous id. Ramses says, enough talk. Battling will reveal the truth about you. Bart says, careful, Faye. This Gebler jerk's pretty strong. And apparently we fight some more. Ramses says, he looks completely different, and there's no response. Is it just my imagination? But that technique was indeed his. What's more, the name Faye. Where have I heard that before? Faye, that is my child's name. Ramses says, gah! Margie says, leave the rest to me. Bart says, Margie? Rats. I guess Margie summoned rats or something. Faye says, no! When they jump into the elevator, Ramses wonders, is it him or do I only want to think so? If it is him, I am worthless, a reject. Ramses says, guard, double the guards on both shifts. Don't let those rats in here again. Why would they come back? I mean, they already kidnapped the girl they're there for. Bart says, hey, Faye, do you know where this elevator goes? Faye says, I don't know. Where does it go? Bart says, I'm asking you. This thing wasn't here before. Bart says, don't worry. We'll get you back home somehow. Margie says, I'm not worried. Bart says, hey, Faye, how did the tournament go? Faye says, I won, I guess. Bart says, that's what I thought. I knew you could do it. Alrighty, I guess I'm just bouncing around this joint. Faye says that's Gebler's aerial battleship. Margie says, yeah, but look what's coming out of it. A shitload of soldiers. Bart says, are you guys in the mood for another battle? Margie says, Bart, we better get out of here and fast. Faye says, quick, run. Oh, they're like taking control of the wheel. There are intruders in the base. There are 3 intruders, presently heading for the dock area. The 2 men may be killed, but do not harm the girl. I guess that's over the intercom. And Faye just bumped into Ellie. Ellie exclaims, Faye. Faye says, you're Ellie, what are you doing here? Ellie says, I should be asking you. Ellie says, don't tell me you're the intruders, Faye. Faye says, huh? Bart says, if she's in our way, just... Faye says, wait a second, Bart, Ellie is not an enemy. Bart says, not an enemy, are you sane? Look at her uniform, she's a Gebler officer. Faye just stays silent. The guards say they ran in here. They exclaim. Ellie says, hurry, this way. Ellie says, it sounds like they've gone. Bart says, Faye, can you explain to me how you know a Gebler officer? Faye says, well... Bart says, I don't know where you met her, but no matter how you look at it, she's a Gebler officer. Not an enemy? Where do you get off saying that? Ellie says, yes, Special Forces of the Sacred Empire of Solaris, also known as Gebler. I'm Lieutenant Elhiam Van Houten of the Ignis Army's 3rd Assault Division. And while returning from a mission to capture the newest model gear from a Kislev military factory, I was attacked by pursuing Kislev gears and crash-landed in your village. Faye stays silent. Ellie says, I wanted to tell you, but I just couldn't bring myself to. When I heard what my crash landing in your village had caused, I couldn't tell you. Faye says, I knew. Ellie says, Faye? Faye says, I overheard you talking with Doc. Ellie says, then why? Faye says, it was all my fault, but I lashed out at you with my own feelings. I'm sorry. Ellie says, no, it wasn't. Faye says, just forget about it. You couldn't help it. You had your own problems. Ellie says, but Faye, why are you with them? Faye says, I'm cooperating with Bart and his crew. We came to rescue Margie, who was taken prisoner in the castle here. Ellie says, I see. Bart says, hey, just a minute. Where do you think you're going? Ellie says, you want to get out of the castle, right? In this confusion, you can escape through the gear launch door. Bart says, great idea, but do we really buy that? I don't think so. She talks sweet, but she's probably planning to turn us over to that old bald geezer. It's a trick, Faye. Faye remains silent. Margie says, wait, Bart, she's not a bad person. She said she'd help us, so let's go with her plan. Bart says, you're always like this. Can't you see? She's in Gebler. Don't be so damn trusting. Margie says, that's not true, is it, Ellie? Bart says, oh yeah, look where your ability to judge characters got you. Bart continues, Faye, what about you? Do you believe her? Faye says, I made up my mind long ago. Ellie just says Faye and trails off. Bart says, gah, first you, now her. The whole lot of you can go jump off a cliff for all I care. It appears everyone's on board with Ellie's plan as they are following her. Ellie says, wait here a sec. Ellie says, the coast is clear. Quick, follow me. Ellie says, this is the gear's startup code. You can start any standard gear with this code. Faye says, Ellie? Ellie says, this is all I can do for you. The rest is up to fate. Bart says, alright, let's go, Faye. Bart says, what are you doing? Hurry up. Faye says, Ellie, come with us. Ellie seems confused. Faye says, you're not the type of person suited to a place like this. Ellie says, Faye, and trails off. Bart says, you're just wasting your time talking. They're coming. We're gonna get caught. Faye says, Ellie. Ellie says, thanks, but it's impossible. I'm a Solaris soldier. This is where I belong. I can't go with you. Faye says, Ellie. Ellie says, Faye, the next time we meet, we'll be enemies. And they evacuate in the gear. Commander, I've got a message from Hugh. Ramses says, what? Ramses says, stop the power-up. Recall all men back to base and wait for further orders. Ramses continues, that fool, what is he doing down here now? Referring, obviously, to Seitan, who also goes by Hyuga. I think that's his Solaris name. Sigurd says, well, Marguerite, now that we have saved you, may we ask you one thing? Why did you go up against the enemy by yourself? Margie says, sorry, but I heard a rumor in town that day. It was said that the Sex Sisters, who were captured by Ava, were still alive. Sigurd says, obviously a groundless rumor started by the enemy in order to lure you out. Maison says, please don't be so hard on her. The Nissan sect is Marguerite's home. It's perfectly understandable. Bart says, then you thought you could save them alone? That was stupid. Margie says, I believed it, so what? I was wrong. But Grandma and Mom were already executed. Sigurd says, Marguerite? Maison says, at any rate, Marguerite is here unhurt. That's the main thing. Before luck runs out, let's take Marguerite to Nissan. We can talk more there. Now I'll go prepare Marguerite's room. Miss Marguerite, may I ask you to accompany me? Bart says, Margie! Next time let us know. We'll go for you. Margie says, yeah, I'll do that. Sigurd says, Marguerite is straining herself, young master. You should be kind to her. Yo. Bart says, that Margie, leaving a strange stuffed animal in a place like this. Because of this, we can't get into the bridge. The creature says, that's not strange. Bart says, hey Faye, stop the funny voices, will ya? Faye says, huh? I didn't say anything. Bart says, that's weird. Anyway, let's ask Margie to get rid of it. Bart says, hey Margie, get rid of that strange stuffed animal sitting in front of the bridge. It's in our way. Margie says, it's not a strange stuffed animal, it has a name. Its name is... that's fine. Choo Choo, I guess. Her name is Choo Choo. But that's weird. It was just here where I put it a moment ago. It walks through the door. Nice to meet you. I'm Choo Choo. I fell in love with you when I first saw you in Bledavec. Wherever you go, I shall go choo. Oh my, I just declared my love. Bart says, what we thought was just a stuffed toy is actually a living animal. Weird. Margie says, no wonder it felt strangely lukewarm. Faye says, what? Bart says, looking good, Faye. Faye says, shut up. Bart says, it's alright. I, as the captain, give you my permission. Choo Choo says, yeah. Yeah. Faye says, suit yourself. Bart laughs. Well, I don't want to interrupt you two, so I'll wait outside. Margie stays silent. Then says, thank you for your help at the castle. I heard you really riled it up at the tournament. Bart was bragging how you're all both buddies and stuff. Faye says, really? Margie says, I'm so ashamed. I want to be of help to Bart, but I ended up owing him again. Margie says, Faye, have you seen Bart's back? He's got scars all over his back, and it looks so painful. Long ago, when the two of us got caught by Shakan, Bart protected me from getting beaten. Margie says, at that time, I decided to be his follower to serve and protect him, but he's the one who's always protecting me. Faye stays silent. Margie says, oh, I'm so sorry. Anyways, thanks a lot for saving me. Margie says thanks again. Choo Choo says my eyes dry out when pretending to be a stuffed animal. Ouchie. My. Wee. Sigurd says, Young Master, according to Margie, there's quite a troublemaker in Gebler. Bart says, yeah, so who the heck is he? Sigurd says, Karen Ramses of the Holy Solaris Empire's Special Foreign Affairs Agency. In other words, he's the commander-in-chief of Gebler. It seems that Gebler isn't just after the excavation sites around Ava after all. Bart says, you mean they're not after the Jasper? Sigurd says, if that's their only goal, they wouldn't need to send an important man like him. Sigurd continues, Young Master, this could become unexpectedly complicated. Faye says, Doc hasn't come back yet, has he? Sigurd says, Doc, no need to worry about him. He'll join us soon. Sigurd says, we shall have to enter into Nissan through the secret road. Let's keep on the lookout for a lone tree in the desert as a sign of where the road lies buried. Sigurd says, shall we launch the Yggdrasil? I say go ahead. Oh man, guess I re-entered it on accident. Well, I don't have enough money. I need like 38k. Whatever. Guess it's time to kill some shit. Actually, let me see if there's anything I can sell first. Stuff. Alright. Let's grind up. Because I know I need 38k. Too long. $1,000, so that's not so bad. got 350 almost, so that's not so bad. Some stupid tree somewhere. It's not there, I think. Check anyway. Aha, here we are. Sigurd says, now I see why you came down to the surface. Alright, I understand you, but Karin Ramses shaking over the post of Ava is pretty annoying. Seitan says, the home country might have had some special reasons. Sigurd says, yeah, obviously. Seitan continues, but perhaps there is still a chance of success. You and I, who used to be called Elements at the Commander's Training School, Jugend, are both here. Sigurd says, hope you are right. Seitan says, by the way, she is still... Sigurd says, according to Faye, there was a female aide on Kar's side, and he said that she had indigo blue eyes and hair, so it must be her. Seitan says, so all the old Elements members are on the surface world now. Sigurd says, I guess so. Sigurd says, Hyuga, to be honest with you, she scares me. She supports Kar and is kind to anyone, I know that very well. But sometimes I felt a strange fear in her that bothers me more than Kar being in this land. Seitan says, that cannot be true, not in her. Sigurd says, yeah, I don't want to believe it either, but don't you remember how I could always sense these things quite accurately? Seitan says, right. By the way, have you told the young one yet? Sigurd says, no, not yet. I don't want him to worry until we know exactly what Solaris objectives really are. But I have to tell him eventually, though. Anyway, Hyuga, have you gotten any information? Seitan says, not really. I left there before going into the center section. Bart says, Faye. It startles Faye. Faye says, oh, it's you, Bart. Don't scare me. Bart says, sorry, Dari. It sounds like Sig and your doctor friend know each other pretty damn well. Sig, damn, I thought I knew everything about that guy. Faye says, when did Doc get back? I guess they're whispering to each other, rather. Let's speed that up a little bit. Sigurd says, I'll complete the remaining checks on board. I'll leave the rest up to you, Mason. Mason says, as you wish. I will have the honor of accompanying the others. Bartholomew, healthy as ever, I hope, says some guy. Bart says, yeah, how's the town? Since we got word several days ago that there might be an army advancing from the royal capital, the sex representatives have been in discussion. Bart says, what have they come up with? The man says, for now, they just plan to improve the local defenses. Also, anti-Shakan people have been gathering here, probably because they heard about what's going on. Bart says, that's reassuring. The man says, yes. However, the residents are starting to feel uneasy. People are starting to take refuge up north in the mountains. Bart says, can't blame them. The man says, by the way, how's Marguerite? Bart says, better than we thought, but I know she was in a lot of grief. Marguerite, I'm so glad you're safe, says the man. Margie says thanks. The man says all the townspeople are overjoyed by the Great Mother's return. Margie says, wow, it's been such a long time since I left here. And runs away forever. Maybe not. Satan says, well, first of all, we should accompany Marguerite up to meet the sisters. Bart says, huh? What is it, old Mason? Mason sniffs and says, goodness gracious me, to think that little Miss Marguerite was finally able to return here. It is so awfully moving. Bart says, hey, pull yourself together, old man. Mason says, forgive me, how terribly embarrassing. I couldn't help it. Mason continues, I shall go back and give some instructions to the men left on the ship. Please, young master, go ahead and escort Miss Marguerite up to see the sisters. Excuse me. Mason departs. Meow, meow, meow. This random guy says, is the rumor that there are pirates in the royal capital true? This guy says, I'm sorry, we're all full. As an apology, except this. Special herb tea. I have again lost some weight. Alright, well, we're gonna take a peeky pie around the town. Apparently there is nothing in here. I think that was the entrance. Let's take a peeky pie in here. This lady says, this place has gotten to be a pain. My family is fleeing north to the mountains. I'm here to buy supplies. This person says, come on in. The items they sell do not interest me at all. Let's see what else they have. As for the accessories, obviously we want that ether doubler. Alright. She thanks me for my purchase. I exit the building. Alrighty. In this building, a bunch of random people are talking. The first one says, how's Bledovic? It's under martial law, so it's gotten progressively harder to contact our agents in the city. According to the info we finally got just a while ago, there's no major activity. We think they've found some reason to attack and are getting ready now. Another person says the possibility exists. The informant continues, however, I've heard that Shakan's power base in the capital is eroding away. He's probably weaker than we thought. Another person says, anyway, it's happened and we're committed now. I feel the same way, says another person. Now that I think about it, 12 years ago, ever since the coup d'etat by Shakan, there's been a lot of tension in our country. With Marguerite back now, I agree that the former dynasty should be returned to power. Everyone feels the same, but we must look at reality. Do we have the strength to do that now? They continue. Now I hear Bartholomew, the one who brought back Marguerite, has started moving around out in the open. I'm certain Shakan is preparing a large army. Shakan may be coming here soon, they fear. To this town of Nisan. What's gonna happen to us if he captures this area? Will everyone be killed? I seriously doubt that. Even he won't want to risk provoking any kind of outrage with the citizens, especially in this situation. He will definitely want to avoid putting himself in a compromising situation. We should set up a hiding place just in case. Maybe there. Bart says, please don't either of you talk about this in front of Margie. She's only just got back from her long time in captivity. I don't want her to have to worry. I want her to be happy for a little longer. Seitan says, you should not be overly worried yourself. You have just got to think about what is best for the future of this land. What is done is done. You only did what you believed was right. Put the past behind you. Bart says, huh? I'm alright. Okie day. That's like some other part of the town, so let's just snoop around a little bit more. This guy says, sorry, don't talk to me. Yesterday morning's view from the lake. I'm remembering the sensation of that light. I guess he's a painter. This person says, Nissan is a pretty popular place among artists. Part of the reason is the scenery, but it's mostly because of the portrait of the Great Mother that is said to be in the cathedral. Unfortunately, the public is not permitted to go see it. This appears to be an Ava soldier. He says, I'm from the Royal Army stationed down south. I may work for the current government, but my heart belongs to Nissan. I cannot desert it. Haha, desert pun. I hear there are lots of people like me who are gathering here. The residents here are kindly renting me this room. Now I'm waiting here until something starts happening. Margie says, these are the people who took care of me when I was small. The people Margie is referring to say, oh Bart, I'm glad you're well. The people at the Hidden Port contacted us just before you came into town. I've already contacted the monastery. Please take Margie up there as soon as possible. She'll be so happy, not to mention the sisters. Margie says I must hurry and see the sisters. And then scampers off. I, however, want to continue checking the town out. That guy says, whatever happens, I'll never move from here. Okie dokie. I think that's just that Ava soldier. I don't think there's anything else here. Alrighty. I've entered the cathedral. As if you couldn't tell by such music. The nuns all say, Margie, and run toward her. There appear to be many nuns. There are approximately 9 of them. Margie! Margie says, I'm back, everyone. Oh, Margie, we're so glad you're safe. Margie says, yes, it's all thanks to Bart and his men. The nuns say, we just received word, so we were singing a hymn of praise and joy. We're so happy. Oh, what a relief. Apparently the most important person, Sister Agnes, says, welcome back, Margie, since they named her. We had faith that you and your cousin Bart would one day return safely. We and your other friends have been waiting for you. Margie says, Sister Agnes. Sister Agnes says, unfortunately your mother and the Blessed Royal Mother. Margie cuts her off and says, I know, Sister Agnes. I heard about it at the royal capital. But at least I have made it back. I'll never go anywhere or leave you from now on. I won't make you all worry anymore, ever again. Sister Agnes says, bless you, my dear. Margie says, Sister Agnes, this just isn't like you at all. Here I am back, safe and sound. Can't you rebuke me just a little for old time's sake? Sister Agnes says, Ha, I'm sorry, but I'm just so happy that I cannot help but... Then she trails off. Someone says, Sister... Sister Agnes says, there is no reason to be so solemnly quiet. Well, everyone, to celebrate the return of our dear sister Margie and to express our joy to heaven, let us finish singing our hymn. Margie says, thank you and bless you all. Margie continues, oh yes, sister, may I go upstairs? It's been oh so long, so I want to have a look around up there too. Sister Agnes says, oh, but of course, dear. Don't even think of holding back from anything, except for one thing, never stay away so long like that again. Margie says, I knew you'd say that. Now that's the Agnes I know. Margie, I am so glad, says a different sister. Alright, Bart says it's been a while since the last time I was here. Something wrong, Margie? Margie says nothing, it's just... I guess I got a little emotional. Bart says, anyhow, take it easy for a while. You've put up with enough, okay? Margie says, if you're trying to make me cry, you'll fail. Oh yes, I'll show Faye and Sighton around our cathedral. Follow me. Margie runs off. Sighton says, what a strong girl she is. It is obvious that she really just wants to break down and cry. Bart says, yeah, you're right. That's just the way she has always been. For all her talk, she understands her position well. Maybe there are a few things I could learn from her. Margie says, we go up to the gallery on the second floor from here. And the bitch walks slow. Sighton says, how magnificent. Margie says, if we ever got scolded for pranks as kids, Bart and I used to hide here. Bart says, hey, stop telling those old stories. It's embarrassing. Margie runs away while talking. She says, but to me, Bart hasn't changed much since then. Bart says, what? You mean you think I'm still a kid? Margie says, I like the view from here the best, while on the second floor of the cathedral looking down. There appears to be two angels, each with one wing reaching out to each other. Sighton says, yes, this is breathtaking. Light from outside shining through the stained glass of the cathedral's front. What a brilliant piece of artistry this is. Margie says, did you notice that the two great angels only have one wing each? According to a legend handed down in Nissan, God could have created humans perfectly, but then humans would not have helped each other. So that is what these great single-winged angels symbolize. In order to fly, they are dependent on one another. Sighton says, ah, so that is the reason for it. I see. On further inspection, the left angel looks somewhat masculine, while the right one looks somewhat feminine. Now that is an unusual feature, is it not? Usually these depictions are not gender-specific, but these angels are clearly distinguishable as having opposite genders. Sighton continues, in the space between them is the path from where God advents, or could it be the path leading to God? Well, I do not know. It could be either or even both. Now I see. This all coincides with the teachings of Nissan. Margie laughs and says, why, Dr. Sighton Uzuki, you are an amusing fellow. Satan says, "Oh, excuse me. It's a habit of mine." Faye interjects, "The doc knows a lot about a lot of things. Sometimes I can't even understand what he's talking about." Bart says, "Ha, forcing them to fly together. It would be less bothersome if they could fly on their own, don't you think, Faye?" Margie says, "Bart, you miss the deeper meaning and beauty of it." Margie says, "Someday I wish I could be of help to someone like that." Margie continues, "Oh, we haven't visited the room of Sophia yet, have we? You're really supposed to go through some procedures before you can see it, but this time I think it'll be alright if I make a special exception." Faye says, "Sophia?" Margie says, "Yes, Sophia. She is revered as the founding mother of the Nissan nation, and the founder of the Nissan religion who set forth its teachings. There is a special room upstairs that has a portrait of Mother Teresa in it. Mother Sophia." Satan says, "I would definitely like to view that. Faye, let us go have a look at it." Margie again walks slowly towards wherever it is we're supposed to go for right now, I guess. Jeez, that's a long staircase. Margie says it's further on in. Satan says, "Oh my, what an exquisite portrait. And the beautiful young lady portrayed is quite beyond comparison, too." Satan says, "What is more, this looks rather familiar." Satan says, "What do you think, Faye?" Faye says, "Yes, I was just thinking the same thing. The hair is a different color, but the atmosphere or personality about her is exactly the same." Satan says, "What? Hair color? What do you mean?" Faye says, "What do I mean? Look, it's the girl I met in the forest. It's Ellie. I mean, there's something about her that's just like Ellie." Faye says, "You don't think so?" Satan says, "Yes, now that you mention it, she does resemble Ellie." Satan says, "But that is not what I was talking about. I meant that the brush techniques and overall style used in this picture is similar to yours." Faye says, "Really?" Faye says, "Does it?" "First of all, I'm nowhere near as good an artist." Satan says, "No, it is very similar to your style." Satan continues, "But somehow I can sense an atmosphere of sadness in this picture." She is smiling, but in a way it gives the impression that she is anxious. Perhaps the picture is reflecting her inner self. Satan continues, "Or perhaps it is the inner feelings of the artist being conveyed." Satan says, "Ah, if you look closely, you will notice that the painting is not completely finished. The artist put his brushes down when it was near completion." "Why is that?" Margie says, "I don't know, but my grandmother might have known about it." "Oh, what if we ask Agnes? She may know something." Margie continues, "All right then, I'll be with Sister Agnes." Bart says, "Well, shall we head back to town for now?" Satan says, "Yes, all right, but this painting has caught my curiosity. Do you mind if I speak to Sister Agnes before we head back to town?" Bart says, "Yeah, okay, we'll stop by her room on the way out." Faye remembers a past life. In his past life, his name was Lacan. Satan says, is something wrong, Faye? You look like you're daydreaming. Faye says, no, it's nothing. The nun says the road we must take is out there somewhere, a way out of the confusion we are now facing. The sister sitting diagonally across from me is desperately looking for that answer. Another sister says, why does war never disappear from this world? To me it is clear that it is meaningless. Perhaps it is our fate to be forever at discord with each other. Another nun says, we're transcribing scrolls. Scrolls over 100 years old get worn, so we renew them. It is one of our daily tasks. Another sister says, somewhere, it must be somewhere, the truth that we have not yet come to know. Oh, that scared me. Faye says, you're very devoted. The nun continues, well, sort of. It's just that after sneaking into the capital, I started to think about a lot of things, and I've come to realize the world isn't right the way it is now. That must be the nun that assisted you in Blevedik in the hotel. Agnes says, I understand you were shown Sophia's portrait. The lady portrayed in that picture is Nissan's great founding mother. Some say that it was painted at least 500 years ago. Satan says 500 years ago, now that is quite amazing. Personally, I find it intriguing. Do you have any historical material from that period? Agnes says, in our hands there are no such records left intact. All records and materials concerning Sophia have been lost. The portrait is the only thing left. We too do not have much knowledge about her. Satan says, that's too bad, so there really is nothing left at all. Agnes says, for someone who has helped Marguerite, I would have loved to have shared them. But unfortunately, I am unable to help here. Satan says, oh well, none the matter. Please do not worry about it, I was just inquiring. But it does seem somewhat strange. If such a majestic building as this survived history, then it likely would have a scroll or two remaining. Agnes says, according to tradition, Sophia was present about 500 years ago. She sacrificed herself for the people and has been summoned to be with God. That's all I can tell you. Satan says, I see. So everything was lost in the darkness of history. Margie says, I wonder what kind of person Sophia was. I would love to have met her. I would have loved to have met her, rather. Meeting hall. Bart says, ah. Mason is screaming, young master! Mason says the people of Nissan were most generous to allow us to rent this house. There will be no need to seek lodgings at the inn. Also, Master Sigurd wishes a word with you regarding your next move, if he may. Bart says, all right, so where is Sig? Mason says, the good Master Sigurd is waiting for you inside. Bart says, okay, thanks, Mason, and enters the building. Sigurd says, whenever I come here, it calms my heart. Sigurd continues, anyway, young master, I want to work out what our plans are from here on out. Bart says, alright. But before we do that, there is something I want to ask you. Sigurd says, me? Bart says, yeah. Bart says, Sig, what's up with you and that Gebler officer? What's the connection between you and him? You know. You sure know a lot about Gebler for some reason. Sigurd says, alright, I'll tell ya. Sigurd says, me and Citan here, we used to live in Solaris. Bart says, Solaris? You mean where Gebler's from? Sigurd says, that's correct. Sigurd says, Solaris calls foreigners lambs. They are used as manual labor. Basically, it's slavery. Bart says, slavery? Bart says, is that where you met him? Citan says, yes, it was there. Sigurd says, we worked for the Solaris government for a short while, but we learned to dislike their methods and escaped the first chance we had. Bart says, you were friends with these people? I met you when I was a kid and we've been together ever since then. So this would have had to happen even before then. I probably wouldn't have understood this if I had heard it earlier, but why didn't you think I could deal with it now? Surely you could have told me about this, especially when you had something to do with the people who are backing that Shakan idiot. Bart continues, I wish you'd told me sooner. Sigurd says there's nothing I can do about that now, but there's one thing I want you to believe. We left Solaris on our own will and for our own reasons. Now they've appeared before us, we can't just sit back and do nothing. If need be, I will give my life to stop them. Bart says, alright, I understand, but can you elaborate a little bit more? Bart asks, where is Solaris? He says, what bugs me is this surface dwellers thing. It's as if Solaris is in another location, like up in the clouds or something. Sigurd says, yes, well... And it trails off to some kind of cutscene. Sigurd says, Etrinak, the capital of the Solaris Empire, is located in the skies above. Solaris is separated from the land by dimensional distortion fields known as gates. Passing between the two requires special means of transportation, such as an airship. Sigurd says, to get to Ava, we stowed away on a regular flight to the surface. Citan says, I came much later than Sigurd did, but I also escaped in the same way. Bart asks, what are lambs? Sigurd says that is the word Solarians use to indicate those who live on the Earth. As I said before, such surface dwellers or Earth dwellers are used for manual labor there. Sigurd says manual labor could be anything from soldiers to administrative jobs. Solaris gathers its workforce from the land dwellers. Jobs are divided up by who is most suitable. Sometimes people are brainwashed. Bart says, brainwashed? Sigurd says, when you, young master, were still an infant, I was used as a test subject. There was probably something they valued inside of me. Faye says, you too, Doc? Citan says, no, I was born in the lower city levels. It is not a complete secret, but I guess I am a Solarian. Bart says, so why were you collecting people? With that much scientific technology, you'd think they wouldn't need to use people. Citan says, you see, you still need people to run a country, no matter how scientifically advanced you are. You have no support without people. Sigurd said, pure Solarians are rare. They would not even make up a quarter of Ava's total population, so they support their country by stealing surface dwellers. Bart says, who is that man? Sigurd says his name is Karin Ramses. As you know, he's the Gebler commander. Bart says, Ramses? Sigurd says, we call him Kar. In Solaris, there is an officer training school called Jugend. He became the commander after leaving there. Citan says he is a lower-level citizen, the same as me. However, with his amazing abilities, after graduating, he rose through the ranks with unparalleled speed. Sigurd says that man had one ideal, to achieve a consolidation of all his colleagues, even land dwellers. If they had talent, they were brought into the army. Bart says, so you two were picked by Ramses. Citan says, no, we were not picked by him, we aligned ourselves with him. Sigurd says, at the time, we agreed with him. Citan says, at the time, Ramses was our hope. He had high ideals and wanted to change the system in Solaris. To us test subjects and lower-level citizens, he was truly all that we wished for. Bart says, a benefactor. Sigurd says, yes, even I, a test subject, was changed by his ideals. Bart says, why did you leave? He continues, why was it that you wanted to flee from Solaris? Sigurd says, we were placed in key military positions by Ramses, and thanks to that, we came to know the relationship between Solaris and the surface dwellers. Bart says, the lambs, right? Sigurd says they weren't just using us lambs for slave labor, they also selected some of us like me to be used as subjects in experiments to refine their drugs. Drugs that change people's personalities to make them more aggressive and to draw out their latent abilities. They were using us as human guinea pigs to test their psychological alteration medications. Bart says, human guinea pigs, experimenting on humans? Sigurd says, yes, for example, the drug called Drive. That drug and all others like it that are used now are byproducts of human experimentation. Citan says, however, the role of such experimental subjects was not limited to just that. Faye says, this drive drug is something that anyone in the Solaris army can use. Citan says, at least anyone in the Gebler forces who is sent to the surface. Bart says, you're worried about her, huh? In reference to Ellie. Faye exclaims. Bart says, I saw some in her room. Faye says, no. Bart continues, anyway, using slaves as guinea pigs, how low are these guys? Bart says, damn. Bart says, I think I get most of it. Old Mason, go reserve the town hall for us. We'll finish talking there. I'm going outside to get some air. Sigurd says, I should have been honest sooner. Citan says, it's best not to worry about it. You did all you could at the time. The young one will understand. Mason says, I'm sure the young master would never have dreamed of such a tale. Faye says, I guess you already knew? Mason says, well, now that you ask, yes I did. However, when Sigurd was telling his story, I thought it was best to stay quiet. Mason continues, please try and help the young master come to terms with all that he has heard. Bart says, I had no idea Sig had such a past. Citan says, are you suspicious of him? Bart says, well, I mean, it was just so sudden. I kind of expected to hear something different, like that we were childhood rivals or something. But that's nothing compared to the story he just told us, is it? Citan says, so hearing his story has you confused because it was not so simple. There was a time when he was cooperating with one of Gebler's generals. Furthermore, behind Gebler was a country that you had never even heard of. Bart says, "Hey, what are you picking on me for?" Satan says, "I'm not picking on you or blaming anything on you. What I'm saying is this. If you think about how he feels, then you should see why he could not talk about this with you until now." Satan continues, "Looking at the activities of Solaris toward other countries up until now, it has never gone beyond simply maintaining their own empire or self-preservation. And as you have seen, their military power is immense, so Sigurd was probably thinking ahead. First, he was probably concentrating on taking care of the problems here on the continent of Ignis. Once things were settled here, it would give him a stronger foundation to deal with Solaris later, which is a much better plan than rushing straight into a war that he could not win. Quite logical, really." Bart says, "Sound like you understand one another pretty well." Satan says, "Well, it's not like we are newly acquainted, is it? And we had talked about a lot of things up until we decided to escape from Solaris." Bart says, "Speaking of that, why did you leave? That Ramses guy was supposed to be a star of hope or something, wasn't he?" Satan says, "Yes, I certainly thought so at first, but then I realized this way of thinking really was not that much of a change from the previous system. Basically, the only difference was whether they stressed people's rank and class or their skill. The words had changed, but it was still no different from what Solaris itself had been doing until then. He had no intentions of bringing everyone a better way of life." Bart says, "In other words, he's an elitist. I don't think I like him much either." Bart says, "So Satan, do you think I can beat Gebler?" Satan says, "Why? Are you planning on fighting them?" Bart says, "As long as they're working with Shakan, there's no way around it. The way things are going, I'm sure we'll have to fight them sooner or later." Satan says, I suppose so, but even if we were to defeat the Gebler forces here, there is still Solaris to deal with. If we are not careful, it is possible that we may get involved in a longer war than that with Shakan. Do you not agree that continuing the way we have been going is rather hard on everyone? I think it is time that we try to get help from a greater number of people." Bart says, "So defeating Shakan's not going to get rid of the likes of Gebler." Bart continues, "I know what you're trying to say. To vanquish Gebler, first gain thy throne, right?" Satan says, you could put it that way." Bart says, "What do you mean you could put it that way? But then again, maybe it is time I did something about that." Alrighty, let's see here. Sigurd says, "I went to the tool shop to borrow a table. The owner said if we need anything for the young master, just ask for it." Bart says, "I'm grateful." Bart says, "When I was a kid, I borrowed stuff from there and got in big trouble." Faye says, "Borrowed? What did you take?" Bart says, "A toy boat. I think that's what it was. I put fireworks in it and let it float on the cathedral's lake. I always used to play Navy." Bart says, "I'm not sure, but I think I pretended the lake was the open sea, and I was the fleet commander." Bart continues, "Anyway, forget those old stories. We should get started." Bart says, "First, Gebler is the big problem." Satan says, "Yes, Ramses is headed towards achieving his goals. That he is now the commander of Gebler is proof of that. A normal man could not progress so quickly through that country's organization, and now he is presently located here in Ignis." Satan says, "Frankly, the situation is not very favorable. We need to find a weak spot and attack it with all our might. Guerrilla warfare, so to speak." Bart says, "First, let's just concentrate on Shakan. Once he's out of the way and Ava is safe again, we can think about how to deal with Gebler." Bart says, "With our present strength, we should be able to hold off the Royal Guard forces. The problem is how to deal with Gebler in the meantime. They will most likely move at Shakan's request. We're not just going to sit by and watch quietly." Satan says, "May I have a look there, please?" Satan says, "In short, we want Gebler to leave for a while. at least until we're able to take back the royal capital, Bledavik. They're all looking at a map. Seitan says, these are the Gebler units currently in Ava, correct? Seitan says the Western Guards. The Royal Capital Defense Force. And units along the front line at the border with Kislev. Seitan says there are 3 main groups. Each is made up of a mix of Gebler and Ava forces. Only 2 of these are very large. He says the large ones are the Royal Capital's defense units and the Kislev border units. The Western Guard along Nissan's border are little more than a surveillance team. Sigurd says in order to recapture the royal capital, it will be necessary to draw these defense units away from Bledavik. Seitan says, we have some Kislev-made gears, correct? Bart says, yeah, we captured some earlier. Seitan says, what if we use those gears to make a raid on the Western Guards, here at the border with Nissan? Bart says, I see, we'll draw them out by making it look like Kislev is invading Ava. Sigurd says, the problem is, will attacking the border guards be enough to set the center in motion? Seitan says, to be sure then, Nissan will just have to appear to align with Kislev. If they see it that way, they will most certainly make a move. Bart says, you're intending that to use Nissan as bait. Faye says, Doc. He's kind of horrified. Sigurd says, Shakan is very sensitive to Nissan's and Kislev's actions. If Nissan starts moving, he will probably leave it up to Gebler. Seitan says, of course, I do not wish to do that from the beginning, but looking at the situation, we have to be willing to go that far. Bart says, first we infiltrate the capital. To take out Shakan, we will have to meet up with our agents in the city. Seitan says, we're forgetting one thing, the frontline units along Kislev's border. Seitan says the main strength of Ava's fleet is the battleship Kefenzel. It's been in service since the reign of the last king. Because of its firepower, the whole unit is nicknamed the Invincible Fleet. Seitan continues that he recalls yesterday's intelligence report said that the ship is near the border. Bart says, damn, that puts everything in jeopardy. Seitan says, don't feel so down. I simply wanted you to see the current distribution of force in the area. Even in the worst case that they do come, it will not be such a great problem. Bart says, what do you mean? Seitan continues, I have additional information about Ava's border fleet. The former Ava Supreme Commander was transferred there. Not really transferred, more like demoted. His name is Vanderkam. Sigurd says, Vanderkam? You don't mean the Vanderkam that was in Jugend. Seitan says the very same. Seitan says, young one, he has not been able to adapt to the change in tactics, particularly following the introduction of gears. He is a man who will never stray from his dependence on large naval guns. Bart says, you mean he's stubborn. He is all size and no real military power, an excellent target for pirates. Mason says, young master, this is not going to be an act of piracy. Bart says, just kidding. Seitan says, actually, the number of gears assigned to the fleet seems to have been reduced. Even with that, how gallant of him to be so self-righteous. Bart says, is he that much of a musclehead? It'll be fun taunting him. Mason exclaims, young master! Bart says, I know. Anyway, Seitan, do you think he can strike our gear forces? Satan says it's not a problem. Even with Vandercom, we have enough forces left to pull off the feint. However, it would not be wise to underestimate our opponents. Sigurd says, well, now that we know what we're up against, here's what we'll do. Sigurd says, apart from our main unit heading for Bledavik, we must keep the fleet at the Kislev border from returning to the capital. Bart says, so you're suggesting we have another unit? Satan says, a few effective soldiers to hold the enemy at bay. A small force is best. Sigurd says, a small force? Satan says, what if Faye leads a group of gears there? Faye says, me? Sigurd says, hold on now, there's no reason to involve all of you in this. Faye says, I'll do it. Yes, let me do it. When do we leave? Bart says, are you sure? Faye says, we've come this far. Hey, we're friends to the end now. Satan says, speed is everything. We should do this as soon as possible. Bart says, alright, tomorrow. Sigurd says, I'm truly grateful, Faye, and Satan. Bart says, yeah. Bart says, there's no way we can lose. No one will die in vain. Mason says, well put, young master. It appears it is now the next day. Margie says, good morning. Margie says, what's with the long face? Not feeling well? Or are you feeling sad about saying goodbye? Or maybe you're just nervous. Bart says, shut up, stupid. Don't bug me. Margie laughs at him. Margie says, well, it's almost time. Bart says, yeah. Bart continues, is everyone ready to go? I'll be waiting here, so let me know when you are through preparing. I think that's my cue to save, because my throat hurts. Satan says, there is a new wind blowing today. Whatever the flock that means. Apparently I went out the north exit. I just want to go to the world map and save. Alright. I'm probably not going to do another one of these till tomorrow, so I'm going to cut the transmission here. Thanks for watching.